The Canon 90D and the Sony A6600 are both fantastic cameras, and so in this video we're going to be comparing them to each other and see which one you should buy.
You gotta just press record.
Hey guys, my name is Nolan Molt and I'm excited to jump into this video because I get this question a lot actually, because I use both the Canon 90D and the Sony A6600, and the question comes up, which one is better? Now, honestly, for the past like 6 months, I've really gone back and forth on both of these cameras and I wasn't really sure which one was better, but now after using it for quite some time, both cameras, I have a really good answer. So stick around to the end of the video to find out which one is going to be best for you. But first, let's talk about some of the similarities and the differences between these two cameras. Starting off with the similarities, both of these cameras are APS-C sensor sized cameras, and so they are not full frame, they're APS-C. Both these cameras also have a mic input and a headphone jack so you can monitor the audio. The autofocus on both of these cameras are fantastic. They work really well, for vlogging, for shooting any type of video. You're going to get really high-end autofocus with both of these cameras. They're both also going to have that eye tracking autofocus, which is really cool. And they both have the touch autofocus. So on these screens, they are touchscreen. On both cameras, you can touch the monitor on what you want to focus on, and the camera's automatically going to focus on that and then track it within the shot. Really cool features on both these cameras. We also get weather sealing on both these cameras, so they're going to be resistant to water and to dust. They also both have a flip out screen, which is a must have for YouTube creators like you and I. We need to see ourselves when we're shooting these kinds of videos. The 90D flips to this side and has that swivel screen, whereas the A6600 flips straight up over the camera. Both screens are also the same size at 3 inches diagonally. As far as slow motion goes, both can shoot up to 120 frames per second. However, on the Canon 90D, when you shoot in that, you aren't getting any sound in your shot and you're also not getting autofocus, whereas on the Sony A6600, you do get that autofocus and you still get your sound. They also shoot 4K footage at 24 frames per second and 30 frames per second. These cameras also have clean HDMI out, so you're able to live stream with both these cameras and you are going to get a clean feed out of the HDMI port. So right off the bat, both these cameras have some really cool features, and that's why they are both so popular, especially in the YouTube community. But now we're going to talk about the differences and what separates these two cameras. I'm also going to be talking about which one is going to be best for you, as well as some of the features that I find most important. So before we get to that, make sure to like this video and comment down below which camera are you looking to pick up. I'm really interested to see what you guys are looking for and which one you want to buy in the comments below. Let's start off talking about the money, the moolah. It's important, and these cameras are priced differently. So the 90D comes in at $1,200 for the body only, whereas the A6600 comes in at $1,400 for the body only. Now for video shooters, one of the cool differences about the Sony A6600 is you have that electric viewfinder, so you can put your eye up to the camera and then you can shoot outside and you can see your screen perfectly, whereas on the 90D you just have that LCD attached to the camera. And I found this to be a really nice tool in those really bright conditions in the middle of the day. When it comes to the actual brightness of the screen, I don't have like a scientific test, but I can say that the 90D, originally I was like, oh, this is much brighter, it seems more vibrant, the colors just look better on that LCD screen. But when you go into the Sony settings, you can actually turn your monitor brightness up to sunny weather. And once I did that, I found that it was just as bright as the 90D. And so when it comes to the brightness of these monitors, I found them to be just about the same. Now, when it comes to the sharpness of the image and how much detail you get out of this, I've done some tests with the 4K and I've done some tests with the 1080 comparing both of these, and the results are kind of shocking. Now, when I first looked at the Sony A6600 4K versus the 1080, I was really shocked with how bad the 1080 was. It just looked really bad compared to the 4K. So then when I compared the 90D, the 1080 and the 4K, I thought that the 1080 held up much better compared to the 4K on the Canon 90D. But after placing these cameras side by side, what I found out was the A6600 4K was just like incredible, and it was completely blowing out the 90D 4K. It was blowing out everything. It's clearly the sharpest image goes to the Sony A6600. So then when I compared the 90D 1080 HD footage against the A6600 1080 footage, they looked really similar, but I have to give the edge to the 90D. I think the 90D was a hair sharper, but really, if you're shooting on 1080 on either of these cameras, as far as sharpness goes, you're gonna get about the same quality. However, if you're gonna be shooting in 4K, the A6600 has way better sharpness and detailed compared to the 90D. Another big difference between these two cameras is the A6600 does not have a record limit. So you can record as long as you want, until your battery dies or until your card fills up, you can record forever. But on the 90D, you're capped out at 30 minutes. And so your camera is actually going to stop recording at that 30-minute mark. And so if this is something where you need to be filming videos for a long time and you can't stop the camera, well, then you probably should definitely go with the A6600. Now, another really cool feature about the A6600 that the 90D does not have is in-body image stabilization. Basically what this means is that the sensor inside that camera is going to be moving around and stabilizing that shaky footage inside the camera. The 90D does not have this, but they do have an option for electronic stabilization, and it crops in your footage, and it's not really the best. So I definitely prefer the IBIS on the Sony A6600 over the electronic stabilization on the 90D. As far as color profiles go, the A6600 has way more options. You can shoot in S-Log, you can shoot in Cine 4. There's different flat picture profiles. And so if you're into color grading or you're into videography, you can actually use those and get much more dynamic range rather than using the standard picture profile. And so that is something really to consider, but keep this in mind if you don't really even know what dynamic range is, or you don't really care about color grading and all that kind of stuff. You just want to shoot YouTube videos and upload them and have them look great. Then you can kind of disregard this because you might not want to use that because there is a learning curve to color grading those picture profiles. However, if you're watching this and you're more of a professional videographer, then that is something that you really want to look at, and that is a major plus over the 90D. Now I got one more thing to talk about between the differences of these two cameras, and then we're going to talk about who these are for. And really when it comes down to a video like this, when you're comparing two cameras, I like to just sometimes ignore all the specs and just look at the two images side by side and then say, which one do I prefer? Which one looks better to me? Which one looks more natural? Which one do I like more? Now, when I was comparing these side by side, I was using the standard picture profile because that's what most YouTubers are going to do. They're just going to shoot in that standard picture profile and make some minor tweaks in their editor. And what I found when comparing these two images, from my own eye and from other people and getting their opinions, people seem to like the Canon look more. So as far as differences, there is a difference in the look and the color and the way that the highlights roll off and the shadows go into the midtones. There's a difference between these two cameras, and I prefer the look of the Canon 90D. However, with some color grading, you can make the Sony look really good too, but just straight out of camera, the Canon 90D looks way better to me. When it comes down to it, the Sony A6600 is a better camera than the Canon 90D. But hold on, because this is where things get weird and get tricky, because even though the Sony is the better camera, I still use the 90D, and my wife uses the 90D for all of her YouTube videos. And the reason for that is that even though it's maybe not the best camera and it's not better than the Sony A6600, it's easier to use because you don't have to color grade it as much. You can pull the SD card out, stick it into your computer, and you could upload it straight to YouTube as is, and it's gonna look fantastic. Yes, the Sony is still going to look good, but in my opinion, just not as good as the Canon 90D. So to summarize this all up, if you're looking for the best camera, the best bang for your buck, I would go with the Sony A6600. And if you're a beginner and you're looking for the best YouTube camera, something where you can just plug it in, upload videos, have it look incredible, well, I recommend the Canon 90D. Well, that's it for the video, guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comments down below. With that being said, you can click on the screen right now to watch some more Canon 90D videos, or you can watch some A6600 videos. The choice is yours. I'll see you guys in the next video.